All right, so I've been asked this question several times. Why did I choose to go with the franchise instead of just doing Wesley's sub shop? And I've had another comment that a guy was like saying maybe I should do it in the future after I build some success and showing it on the channel of going from a franchisee owner to my own sub shop. That's not the goal for me. The goal of this video is just to explain to you why to choose a franchise over launching your own brand. I pulled up some statistics here to kind of show y'all some of the data that's behind doing a franchise instead of your own and trying to carve your own path, right? Both have their advantages, both have their own disadvantages, but let's talk about why. Let's start off with why choose a franchise. Why go that route first? So the number one reason, because it has a higher success rate, and some of the data that I pulled up shows that 92% of franchises are still operating after 2 years. Of independent businesses, that's only 75%. That's a pretty good, and that's only after 2 years, right? So that's a pretty good chunk that fail. 25% of independent businesses fail in the first 2 years. After 5 years, we see 85% of franchises survive, while only 50% of independent businesses survive. When you're thinking of going out on your own and the time and money and investment that it takes to get going, are you willing to flip that coin, right? It's not always a coin flip. Depending on the individual's skill set. That comes into play here with a lot of these numbers and statistics. A lot of people that try to start their own thing are just not built for business, and only you know yourself. You know, the harsh reality is most people think they have what it takes, or they probably wouldn't start to begin with, right? If they thought that they wasn't cut out for it, they wouldn't go start this independent business or their own brand. Everybody that does it thinks they're cut out to do this. Me, I know myself. I think I probably could, you know, like most people, do my own brand. Do I think it would be as successful as fast? No, I do not. Another reason I'm choosing not to go that route is I already have a family, I already have children, I already have a lot of responsibilities. So going with a franchise with a higher percent chance of success and blueprint, things are already fleshed out for me. It makes everything much easier. My skill set when it comes to things, I'm much better at following a template and scaling. So I'm much better at finding locations, improving them. Now I can definitely improve things from where they were. I've proven that with this current store that I've bought. Starting off from scratch is very hard. I've done it before in my past, seen more success, kind of doing something close to the franchisee model, not exactly, right? Another reason you want to go with franchises though is built-in brand recognition. People already know who you are. Your brand, sometimes it's mixed, good and bad, right? Even like for Subway, but people know the brand. So it makes it easier to attract business. Like the people at the town where I bought my store, they knew it had a bad reputation, but they already knew what Subway was. As soon as a new owner came in and turning things around, bringing back high quality products, having staff trained properly, I'm giving the correct amount of portioning on food, and just me staying on top of things, making sure the store is super clean and running well. That combined with they know what they're gonna get at a Subway, it took me less than 3 weeks to turn the store around. Getting a store off the ground, probably gonna take much longer than that, and to start seeing profits and to start really moving in the right direction. It's a proven business model as well. If it didn't work, they wouldn't be in business as long as they are. Now, yes, there are franchises out there that are quote unquote new. There's a lot of franchises out there in and outside of the food industry that have been around 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever, and they have a proven track record of, hey, people can make this work, right? That's a big bonus. They have a really strong survival rates. The 1 year survival rate of franchise businesses is 6.3% higher than independent businesses. And this gap increases to 8.4% after 2 years. So that survival rate, talking a tons of locations and tons of people trying to get into business and do things, it's a lot of people. You also have corporate support and supply chain. Corporate support will vary from franchise to franchise. A lot of people like to bash on Subway because of the high franchise fees. And that is true, they are a little high. You get a lot of backing on the other side of that. You get a lot of people that are doing a lot of the marketing. You got your app being developed, you got your TV ads, you got your promotions, the new ideas. They're negotiating food costs for you on your behalf. And then you got the supply chains as far as your distributors and your food and your product. It's already set up for you. All you have to do is sign the papers and start getting to work. It really simplifies the business management. Corporate is kind of like, they're not really your business partner, but you can kind of look at it that way, to where they're doing a lot of things on the franchisee's behalf to make sure the franchisee is successful. Yes, they have interest for themselves too, to keep themselves afloat. So kind of a tug of war sometimes. Overall, if the franchisee does not succeed, they don't succeed. So it's in their best interest to make sure you are doing well. Let's flip this on some ways or some reasons why you might want to start your own brand. On this side of the coin, you have full control, full flexibility over the businesses, set your own prices, create a unique menu, you build your own brand identity. That's very important to a lot of people, and that's something you have full creative control over, for better or for worse. There's no royalties, no franchise fees. You get to keep all your profits without paying ongoing fees to any corporate office. Major bonus there, especially depending on what those percentages are, those fees are. And the creative freedom. So independence you can adapt quickly to like your local trends and customer preferences without corporate restrictions. You can be lighter on your toes. And in certain markets, that's very, very important. You can react instantly. You don't have to wait on somebody to tell you to react. And then, but even as a franchisee, you have a lot of power locally as well when it comes to local marketing and things like that. At least for Subway, we do a lot of local marketing as well. The owner does, not corporate, but you do get a lot of control over that as well. So I do want to say that. You got a high risk and high failure rates though. Independent businesses face more challenges. So like I said earlier about their failure rates, you got 25% failing their first year, 50% within 5 years, and only after 10 years, only about 30% of those make it. Those are the statistics that I've looked up, and that seems pretty accurate from what I'm seeing. That's really what you have to think about whenever you're going to choose, do I want to go into a franchise or not? Do you have what it takes to go out and be independent? And be very crucial of yourself. Be very hard on yourself whenever you go to think about that. Be realistic, very conservative in your numbers. If it's like hairline close on like, oh, I think it would, I can make about this and barely squeeze by, then it's a no. You don't want to do it. It has to be prosperous. It has to be well worth it on paper anyway, because the real world is not paper. So if it looks really, really good on paper and it doesn't go like you think, maybe it'll still be able to scoot by. But if on paper you're barely scooting by, don't do it. It's not, the real world is going to be different. Things are going to happen that you do not plan for. You have to be ready for those things. You either need large cash reserves, you have to have other ways to make it work, to stretch out time and maintain payroll costs, whatever your expenses might be. Every business is different. Like when I was doing my internet business and a lot of the niche websites, overhead is nothing. Overhead is hosting. And then you have like freelance writers and stuff that, and that's the way it used to go. And then you had software tools on subscriptions, usually yearly. Very low overhead. I sell one website, that's overhead for more than a decade. But that business is long gone, sad to say. So, but anyway, the final takeaway here, if you want like a structured system, brand recognition, and a high chance of success, a franchise is the way to go. But if you prefer creative control, you're willing to take a higher risk, starting your own brand might be a better fit. If you already have a family, if you already have a lot of responsibilities, I'd probably recommend going the franchise route. If you are a single, maybe young couple, or you're a solo act, you can really get out there and risk it. Go for your own brand. Try that. You'll see a much larger return if you are successful. A lot more freedom, over your business. Those are your options. Now, if I was young again and I didn't have children and didn't things like that, me personally, knowing myself, I still would have chose the franchise route. So that really boils down to the individual. But it's not, an apples to apples comparison. Like a lot of people in the comments will try to say, like, hey, why don't you just go out and do your own thing? It's not always apples to apples. There's a lot of stuff to consider that people don't think about. So there's no one size fits all answer. Really depends on your goals, your experience, and your risk tolerance to really answer that question. So I hope this helps give you a little bit of insight. And if there's somebody's watching this and you are thinking about going into a business and your choice is between franchising and starting off your own brand, really look at the numbers, and not just the business numbers. Look at your local area of where you're starting to go. Be very, very conservative, way more conservative than you think you should be. Be realistic. I know that's hard for some people to put their emotions aside. Step outside the box, step out away from your environment, and try to look at this as you're analyzing the business for somebody else that was going to do it and not yourself. And I say that to help you remove the emotion from the equation, remove the excitement, the adrenaline, the gung-ho, get rid of that, bring yourself down to earth, really look at the numbers and see what you can make work. I hope that really helps maybe give some people a look or a answer to which is better. It really depends on the individual. Let me know what you think. See you in the next one.